What's wrong, Mr. Cowboy? Why are you so sad? Oh, is it because your team just got their butts kicked by 38 points at home? That's such a tragedy. Gosh, only a real sicko would take pleasure in that. But unfortunately for all of you, I am a sicko. And even worse, I'm going to review that game and every other game from this NFL weekend in depth right after this.
Before I begin, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, GameTime. GameTime is a ticketing app that makes it faster and easier for you to get tickets to your favorite events at a moment's notice. If you're somebody who has a hard time deciding whether or not to go out to places, then GameTime is perfect for you. GameTime has all of my needs satisfied. Tons of different seats. It's so convenient, and it's not just sporting events. You got shows, you got artists, concerts, whatever. GameTime has it.
Another cool feature on GameTime is something called GameTime Picks, which filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets.
GameTime is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. You can see the view from your seat before you buy it, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. GameTime is also obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets.
One of my greatest experiences as a sports fan was going to watch an NBA game in person. The hype, the atmosphere, the tension, it builds up with every possession, and it comes across in a much different way than you might see on television. You might also see a celebrity or two courtside, who knows? That's the type of experience that GameTime is able to offer to you. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets with GameTime Picks. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code BARRY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CODE for $20 off. Download GameTime today. What time is it? Game time. San Francisco versus Seattle. Geno Smith, more like Geno shit on this throw. Get it? Because he threw an interception. The 49ers kicked a field goal and then went up after a long-ass touchdown from Brock Purdy to thick Tavon Austin. The Niners then made a couple more threes before the Seahawks responded with a clutch 17-point field goal before halftime. Just kidding, it was only worth 3. The rout was then on, at least momentarily. The 49ers went up by 20 for about approximately 15 seconds, shout out to Rick Pitino, before Seattle scored on a kickoff return touchdown by Laviska Shenault Jr. Somebody get his Hall of Fame jacket ready. And the Seahawks were not done. They rallied back with another touchdown to make it a one-score game. They even had the ball midway through the fourth, down 6, but Geno shit reminded everybody why he was drafted by the Jets, throwing another interception that San Francisco capitalized on to go up by 12. But Geno then told his teammates, "I'm getting my stats one way or another, bitch," and he led the team on a super clutch touchdown drive, which made it a 5-point game, before Brock Purdy heroically motivated his running back that Kyle Shanahan found off the streets of Seattle somewhere. And he didn't go in the end zone, but on the very next play, Kyle Juszczyk, who has a hot wife, scored the touchdown, which basically ended the game and gave the 49ers a much-needed 12-point win. Chicago versus Jacksonville. Another London game, isn't that amazing? The Brits must think the Jaguars are the greatest sports team of all time, considering how many games they play there. But either way, this was by far the best game of Caleb Williams' young career, even though he had a bad interception early on. Williams threw for 4 touchdowns on the day, including one in the end racism end zone, so that's how you know it was serious. The Bears at one point ripped off 21 unanswered points before Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence finally made some good plays to get into the end zone, courtesy of Gabe Davis, who had basically the worst 2-touchdown game in NFL history by a receiver. I'm proud to say that I did not give up on Caleb Williams after his first 3 games that were a little bit tough, admittedly, but that's because I'm a man of integrity and a man of faith, as there's a fly ball deep into left field by Castellanos, and this will be a tied game. Well, at least the Jaguars can take solace in the fact that they don't have to play in London again this year. Wait a minute. Cleveland versus Philadelphia. If my Eagles had lost this game, I probably would have injected several pounds of marijuana into my ass. At first, things were going well as I went up 10-0, but then just before halftime, the Eagles just had to make it interesting by having a blocked field goal return for a touchdown to make it 10-10. After the teams exchanged field goals to make it 13-all, Jalen Hurts found Devonta Smith, who weighs about 130 pounds, for a long touchdown to give the Eagles the lead again. Thankfully, Deshaun Weinstein is the worst quarterback in the NFL now, and he can't finish unless he's on a massage table, as the Browns kicked a field goal to make it a 4-point game, and then Jalen Hurts sealed the deal with a beautiful throw to A.J. Brown to seal the 4-point win for the Eagles. Many people are saying that the 2024 Eagles are amongst the best teams in NFL history, and it's getting hard to disagree with that statement, in my opinion. Baltimore versus Washington. The game began with the teams exchanging field goals, but the important story here is that we had 2 black starting quarterbacks, which officially ended racism for good. The 2 aforementioned quarterbacks then woke up and started to throw touchdowns, which made the game more exciting. The Ravens had a 7-point halftime lead after a bullet thrown by Lamar Jackson to Mark Andrews. The teams exchanged field goals again before the Ravens pumped their lead up to 14 with another touchdown run by a potential Hall of Fame running back Derrick Henry. He needs a couple more kickoff and punt return touchdowns on his resume, in my opinion, before I put him in the Hall. That's what separates the Devin Hesters from the rest of us mortals. Anyway, Washington fought back, but it was sadly not enough, as they never got the ball back down one score in the fourth quarter again, as the Ravens ran out the clock to seal their fourth straight win. Green Bay versus Arizona. Fun fact, the last time these two teams played at Lambeau Field, the winning quarterback was Josh Rosen, who we all know is now on track to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Unfortunately for Arizona, there was no such luck this time, as Jordan Love came out early and started throwing dimes for touchdowns. The Packers, thanks to 3 Jordan Love touchdown passes, had a 24-0 lead at one point before the Cardinals finally got on the board and even made it a somewhat interesting game after ripping off 13 unanswered points. But Love's fourth and most memorable touchdown pass of the day to Romeo Doubs made it a 31-13 game. Romeo? Love? Huh. Where's Juliet? Am I right? God, I'm so fucking smart and handsome. After the Packers added another field goal to make it 34-13, that was the final score, and Matt LaFleur remains handsome, as ever, on the sidelines. And I'm not jealous at all. I'm not jealous at all. Houston versus New England. The Drake May era is officially underway in New England, and based on early returns, it's gonna be a bumpy ride for Boston. The Texans went up 14-0 on 2 CJ Stroud touchdown passes. Drake May threw his first career interception on a deep pass, which is promising, but then CJ Stroud responded right back by saying, "Hey rookie, it's okay. I'll throw an interception for you here." In the stop-hate end zone. That's how you know CJ Stroud's a man of integrity. Drake May's first career touchdown pass was a thing of beauty, and quite honestly, I don't think Patriots fans have seen a quarterback who can make this throw since Drew Bledsoe in the late 90s. But Drake May also lost a fumble, which led to another touchdown pass to put Houston up by 14. A couple field goals then expanded Houston's lead to 20 before May threw another touchdown pass to make it 27-14 entering the fourth. CJ Stroud then did what you'd expect him to do, which was lead Houston down the field for another touchdown to extend the lead back up to 20. But then May had a nice touchdown pass again, his third of the day, which surpasses Jacoby Brissett's season total in just one game, to make it 34-21. But unfortunately, Drake May just could not will his defense to get stops, as they gave up a long touchdown run to make it 41-21, which was also the final score. Fun fact, did you know that it took Tom Brady 173 regular season starts before his defense gave up 41 points in a game? Looks like Drake May's ahead of schedule. Indianapolis versus Tennessee. Respect to the Colts for realizing that I picked them to win this game, and that if they did lose, it would make me look like a stupid shithead, which I am not. I am not a stupid shithead, and I deserve your respect. Will Levis actually looked like an NFL quarterback early on. Teams exchanged field goals, which made it 10-10 at halftime before the Titans took a second half lead on a long touchdown run on 3rd and 19, which should really get the defensive coordinator fired. But thankfully for the Colts, the Titans would not score again, so it was up to Joe Flacco, starting his second straight game in favor of Anthony Richardson. And Flacco was just throwing shit up there, and he got rewarded with a touchdown to make it a 3-point game with 5 minutes left. Will Levis said, "Oh, you can throw it deep? Well, I can too. Nah, boo-boo." And unfortunately, it was intercepted. But have no fear, Levis would have another chance, and it didn't amount to shit, as the Titans ended up losing 20-17 at home. Should the Colts even want Anthony Richardson back at quarterback with Joe Flacco playing like this? Tampa Bay versus New Orleans. One of the wildest and wacky games I can remember. The Buccaneers started out looking like gangbusters. Baker threw a touchdown, and then they returned a touchdown for a fumble. Poor Spencer Rattler, his first NFL start, and his receivers were already fucking him in the butt. The Bucs had a 17-0 lead before the Saints got on the board with the field goal. And then the Saints returned a punt for a touchdown to make it 17-10. But then Baker Mayfield responded by, throwing an interception. Saints kicked another field goal. Mayfield responded by throwing another interception, which is not what you should be doing. Spencer Rattler then had a great throw for his first ever NFL touchdown pass to give the Saints a lead. Baker Mayfield tried to throw an interception on this play, but it was intercepted by his teammate, who ended up running for a big gain. And then a couple plays later, Mayfield did the same thing, resulting in a touchdown to give the Buccaneers a 24-20 lead, and there's still 5 minutes left in the first half. And the scoring wasn't even done. The Saints had another touchdown run to go up 27-24 before Baker threw his third interception of the first half, while also throwing for over 200 yards and 2 scores. Up 3 early in the second half with the ball, Rattler obviously did not motivate his receivers well enough to hang on to the ball, as they lost another fumble, and then they compounded it by playing some of the worst defense defense ever. Spoiler alert, I think I found the Tom Brady check down of the week, but whatever, it's still a 4-point game, fourth quarter, it's anybody's game, well, maybe not. The Buccaneers would then rip the Saints a new asshole in the fourth quarter. Mayfield threw his 4th touchdown pass of the game. Rattler then threw his first interception of his career, which set up another Buccaneers touchdown to give them a 50-burger. Last 2 Tampa Bay quarterbacks to lead their team to 50 points or more in a game, Baker Mayfield and Jameis Winston. That's interesting. Pittsburgh versus Las Vegas. The Steelers started things off by kicking a field goal, but the Raiders said, guess what, pal, you're going to need more than that to beat us, and scored a touchdown to go up 7-3, while the Steelers continued to kick field goal. But, as per the law, the Steelers' defense must play great 90% of the time, unless, of course, they're playing against Tom Brady, causing a fumble, which Justin Fields scored on a touchdown run off of. The Raiders are such doofuses, they got their punt blocked, which set up a short field goal, put the Steelers up by 8, and then, holy shit, Najee Harris actually made a great play on a long touchdown run. It only took him 4 years after being picked in the first round to have a memorable play. But the Raiders answered back with a touchdown. No, I'm just kidding. They fumbled it on the goal line because they're the Raiders and they're a joke, and then Fields ran in another score to go up 29-7. Aiden O'Connell padded his numbers with a garbage time touchdown pass before the Steelers added another field goal to win a comfortable blowout, 32-13. Chargers versus Denver. Bo Nix was showing promise the last couple weeks, which is why he immediately had to squander it by throwing interceptions early, which led to a field goal for the Chargers, who then expanded the lead to 10-0 after a beautiful touchdown throw by Herbert. When he has it going, it just looks so pretty. He's such a tease. In fact, the Chargers didn't stop expanding their lead until the fourth quarter, when they were up 23-0 before the Broncos finally got into the end zone to make it 23-7. With about 5 minutes left, the Broncos got the ball back, and Bo Nix had a beautiful touchdown pass, largely because of Courtland Sutton's talent, to make it a 10-point game, but the 2-point conversion failed. And although Denver added another field goal to make it a 7-point game with a minute left, the onside kick went out of bounds in hilarious fashion to seal the loss for the Ponies and another win for Jim Harbaugh, famous cake lover. Atlanta versus Carolina. Holy crap, it's a team that Andy Dalton didn't play for. Although, you never know. Dalton began the festivities by throwing a touchdown, but the Panthers defense continues to be a joke as they gave up a touchdown to tie it at 7. Carolina went up on another field goal to make it 10-7, and that's really as good as it would get for the Kitty Cats on this day. Atlanta ran for another score from Bijan Robinson and had a 2-point conversion to make it 15-10. Cousins then threw another touchdown to make it 22-10, but Andy Dalton was not done just yet, as he had a beautiful touchdown throw just before halftime to make it 22-17. Falcons made it an 8-point game. Panthers responded with a field goal of their own to make it a 5-point game. The Falcons said, you know what, I can kick field goals all day, bitch, and it made it 28-20 entering the fourth quarter. But then Andy Dalton got a little bit selfish and threw an interception, and the Falcons decided to be super meanie doo-doo heads and went up by multiple scores on another touchdown run, and then they would disgustingly run up the score with another field goal to make it 38-20. However, they would then atone for their terrible sportsmanship by intercepting Dalton, and they could have easily walked into the end zone for a pick six, but instead they went down in a show of good sportsmanship. That's what makes America great, folks. Detroit versus Dallas. This was one of the few games this week that I predicted wrong, but I gotta tell you, folks, I do not give a fuck, because this was an extremely enjoyable experience to watch the Cowboys get bent over and spanked on their ass for 3 hours on primetime television. You want to put them in primetime every goddamn week so we have to suffer through them? This is how every game of theirs should go. The game was literally never close. Dak Prescott was once again terrible. The Lions were unstoppable looking, both offensively and defensively. The best player on the Cowboys was their fucking kicker. And really, you could maybe argue he's been their best player all year. I mean, when Jared Goff is dropping 45-yard dimes for touchdowns on you, it's time to call it a day. If you look closely, you'll see that the only Dallas Cowboys highlights are highlights of their kicker kicking field goals. Oh god, I love watching their receivers fumble, which lead to points for the opponent. It's really just cathartic. And then here's Dak Prescott being a dipshit, throwing a terrible interception. You know it's bad when Dak Prescott wasn't even able to pad his numbers in garbage time like he normally does to make it seem like, oh, it's not his fault because he threw for 300 yards or something, and like 200 of those came down by 20 in the fourth quarter. Yeah, and not even the Cowboys' backup Cooper Rush could pad his numbers. He was throwing interceptions in the end zone. 47-9. Unbelievable. Just an incredible moment in American history. In human history, really. Cincinnati versus the Giants. The Giants were coming off of a game last week where they actually looked competent for the first time in a while, and don't worry, they went right back to being the same old shitty Giants we all know. Daniel Jones was throwing goal line interceptions. They were giving up long touchdown runs to Joe Burrow. Sneaky Joe Burrow. Daniel Daniel Jones was overthrowing open receivers, throwing checkdowns on 3rd and 14, throwing incompletions on 4th and 2. The only saving grace for the Giants, and the only reason this game was remotely close at the end, was their defense and the Bengals taking the night off offensively, which, hey, you can't really blame them because they know the Giants aren't going to put up a lot of points. However, the Giants did tie the game late in the third quarter before the Bengals got serious. And by serious, I mean they kicked the field goal while the Giants ended up missing a field goal early in the fourth. But have no fear, the Giants would get the ball back down 3 and do nothing with it, with a turnover. And then just for shits and giggles, to put the game away for good, the Bengals ripped off a long touchdown run to seal the 17-7 boring and completely forgettable Sunday night win. Oh my god, Cody Rhodes, I'm such a huge fan. Bills versus the Jets. This game has me believing that I can make the NFL as a kicker someday. Started off pretty mundane with a field goal, a made field goal, which will become rare as the game goes on, before the Bills went up on an ass blast touchdown run by Josh Allen. Aaron Rodgers then responded with an impressive touchdown drive of his own with this pass to Garrett Wilson to put the Jets back up. Josh Allen did the thing again where he's scrambling out of bounds and just heaves it up for a receiver 50 yards downfield. It's really cool. And then he finished out the drive with another touchdown pass to give the Bills the lead. Unfortunately, somebody in the stands was killed by this brutally missed extra point by Tyler Bass. But hath no fear, Josh Allen is here, and Allen would once again find some white guy for a touchdown. And they went into halftime up 20-10. Wait a minute, what is this? Did Aaron Rodgers do another Hail Mary? Holy shit, he did. His first since 2016 to give the Jets a spark of life and make it a 20-17 game. Missing extra points wasn't enough. Their kicker had to miss field goals too, the sick bastard. It sure as hell looked like the Jets were going to take the lead at this moment with all the momentum and a long Breece Hall run, but they had to settle for a field goal. But hey, they would get another drive and get down near the red zone again, where Rodgers threw a bullet to Garrett Wilson, but it was dropped after Wilson got hit. But hey, at least they got to have a field goal to go up by 3. No, they didn't. It went off the left upright. But again, don't worry, the defense stood strong, gave the Jets ball back in the fourth quarter. Rodgers, I don't know how the fuck he completed this, but that's just kind of what he does sometimes, to set up a 43-yard field goal, and the kicker would this time make it to give the Jets no, he didn't make it. He hit the upright again. What a fucking dickhead. For once, the Buffalo Bills were on the good side of kicking mishaps as they kicked go-ahead field goal with about 4 minutes left. And then Aaron Rodgers' clutch time struggles would continue as he threw an interception on 3rd and 16. Now, it's not all Rodgers' fault. Mike Williams stumbled like a klutz, but it's felt like this ball was underthrown anyway. Incredible interception, though. And also, shame on the Jets' defensive ends for falling for Josh Allen on this 3rd and 4. Him running for the first down was like the most obvious play call ever, and he still got it. The Jets are just, well, they're the Jets. They're still the Jets.